When Reese finally said it, "I'm in love with you," right there on the ridge, miles from Willow Creek's prying eyes, the world tilted. Her words cracked open years of buried truth, our friendship hanging by a thread against the mountain's vast silence. I'd guarded my own Sapphic ache just as tight, rooted deep like cottonwoods by the creek, twisted but holding. Out here, no town whispers to scorch us, just the isolation pressing in, forcing what we'd hidden to surface. My boots had slipped on loose scree all the way up, sweat burning my eyes, lungs clawing thin air. Reese led, her pack sagging with unspoken weight, shoulders tense from more than the climb. We paused at a flat rock, water bottles shaking. That's when I knew this trail would change everything. The truck rattled over the gravel road out of Willow Creek, dust kicking up behind us like the whispers we'd left in town. Reese gripped the wheel, her knuckles pale against the faded leather. Our small corner of Montana clung to its routines. Sunday potlucks where folks eyed you sideways if you didn't fit the mold. Coffee shop talks laced with judgments passed like second helpings of pie. We'd grown up in that dust, me and Reese, sharing fences to mend and secrets under summer stars. 10 years of it, her laugh pulling me through long winters, her hand steady when mine shook from doubts I never voiced. I stared out at the pines, blurring past, the vast sky pressing down like it knew my secret. Loving her wasn't a choice. It rooted deep, like the cottonwoods by the creek, twisted but holding. But in Willow Creek, where gossip spread faster than wildfire, I'd buried it to keep us safe. Keep her safe. My Sapphic heart stayed hidden, a quiet ache that bloomed when she'd brushed dirt from my cheek after a day in the fields. Self-acceptance came slow for me, pieced together in stolen moments alone, but admitting it to her? That risked everything. The friendship, our place in that tight-knit world. Reese shifted gears, the engine groaning like her mood. She'd been off all morning, snapping at the map when it folded wrong, her eyes flicking to the rear view too often. I chalked it to hike nerves, the grueling miles ahead, the isolation that swallowed cell signals. But something heavier sat between us, thick as the heat rising off the dashboard. "You sure about this?" she'd asked back at my place, packing extra water like it could drown whatever brewed inside her. I nodded, forcing a grin, but watched her now, the way her jaw set against the wind whipping through the open window. The road narrowed, flanked by towering pines that whispered warnings. Dust coated the air, gritty on my tongue, and the sky stretched endless, blue and unforgiving. Our packs thumped in the bed, heavy with gear and the burdens we carried. Reese slowed at the trailhead sign, weathered wood marking the point of no return. We killed the engine, the silence rushing in like the mountain itself, slung our packs, felt their weight settle on shoulders already bowed. First steps crunched underfoot, the world shrinking to the path ahead, town fading like a bad dream. Out here, with no eyes on us, the hidden truths edged closer, ready to surface in the quiet. The physical weight of the pack was nothing compared to the emotional one we carried, but the trail demanded we move. The trail twisted upward right away, a relentless climb that clawed at my calves with every step. Loose rocks shifted under my boots, forcing me to lean into the incline, my pack digging straps into my shoulders like old regrets. Air thinned fast up here, each breath a shallow pull that left my chest burning. Reese led, her strides shorter than usual, but she pushed on, sweat darkening the back of her shirt. I matched her pace, the burn in my thighs a steady throb, reminding me why we'd come, to escape, to breathe without the town's weight. We fell into our rhythm early, the easy back and forth that had carried us through years. "Remember that summer we fixed the old barn roof?" I called up, voice rough from the altitude. She glanced back, a half smile cracking her focus. "Yeah, you nearly slid off. Me hauling you up like a sack of feed." Laughter bubbled out, light against the grind, masking the knot tightening in my gut. My awareness of her sharpened with every shared glance, the way her hair stuck to her neck, the curve of her pack against her hips. I shoved it down, focused on the path, but it lingered, a quiet heat under the strain. Hours in, the camaraderie held, but Reese started pulling away. Silences stretched longer, her responses clipped to nods or grunts. She'd avert her eyes when I caught up, staring at the trail like it held answers. I chalked it to the hike at first, the muscle burn creeping into her legs, the way the mountains sapped words. But it felt heavier, like the air between us carried her unspoken load. We crested a false summit, paused to gulp water from canteens that sloshed warm. Pines thinned here, giving way to scrub and rock, the vast sky pressing down. "You okay?" I asked, handing her a bar. She took it, fingers brushing mine brief, but her gaze flicked away. "Just tired." The lie hung there, pulling at me. Flashbacks hit as we descended a short dip, then climbed again. Memories of Willow Creek's narrow streets, where judgment hid in casual talk. Like the time at the feed store, old man Hargrove, eyeing us after we'd spent the day hauling hay together. "You two are thick as thieves," he'd said, tone laced with that knowing edge, the kind that spread whispers about women too close. Fear of it gripped me then, same as now. In town, my Sapphic truth stayed buried deep, self-acceptance a private fight won in lonely fields, staring at sunsets that didn't judge. But with Reese, it twisted. Loving her meant risking the gossip that could unravel our lives, paint us as the talk no one forgot. I glanced at her back, the pack rising and falling, and wondered if she felt the same shadows. The path narrowed midday, a ledge hugging the slope where one misstep meant a tumble into the ravine below. We picked our way single file, rocks skittering down like warnings. That's when it happened. Reese's boot caught a root hidden under gravel, her ankle twisting sharp. She yelped, pitching sideways, and I lunged, arms snaking around her waist to yank her back. We slammed together against the cliff face, my body pinning hers, packs clashing awkward. Her breath hitched hot against my neck, heart thudding through her shirt into my chest. Time stretched, the world narrowing to that press, her warmth solid, my hand steady on her side, fingers splayed over the damp fabric. "Got you," I murmured, voice low. She nodded, eyes meeting mine close, wide with something beyond the scare. Fear? Relief? The air thickened, charged like before a storm, our faces inches apart. I held on a beat too long, pulse racing from more than the save, then eased back, helping her test the ankle. "Just a twist," she said, color high in her cheeks. But the closeness lingered, a spark I couldn't ignore. We pushed on slower after, the mishap heightening everything, the burn in my legs sharper, my thoughts louder. In quiet stretches, alone with the crunch of gravel, I processed it all. Self-acceptance hadn't come easy. It had been forged in those small-town silences, accepting my desires when the world preached otherwise. Hiding them protected Reese, kept our bond pure in a place that twisted love into scandal. But out here, with her vulnerability cracking through, I felt my own walls thinning. What if I admitted it? The fear coiled tight, gossip ripping through Willow Creek, jobs lost, families turning away. Yet the pull toward her felt truer than the ache in my muscles, a root I couldn't uproot. By late afternoon, the sun dipped low, shadows stretching long across the slope. We found a level spot for camp, a shelf of rock ringed by stunted pines. I dropped my pack, shoulders screaming relief, and started setup. Tarp strung taut, stakes hammered into dirt that fought back. Reese gathered wood, limping slight, her movements deliberate. The fire caught quick, flames crackling hungry on dry twigs, smoke curling up to chase the chill settling in. We ate simple, jerky and nuts from packs, sitting close to the warmth, the day's exhaustion pooling heavy. Night fell fast, stars punching through the black overhead, coyotes yipping distant like echoes of our doubts. The fire popped, casting flickers on her face, and I watched her poke at embers, eyes distant. The isolation amplified it all. No town lights, no voices, but ours. My hidden love stirred, doubts whispering louder in the dark. Sleep would be fitful tonight, the turmoil inside me rising like the wind through the trees. We zipped our sleeping bags close, the silence of the mountain pressing the day's exhaustion and the night's secrets inward. The fire died to embers, red glow fading against the black. Stars pressed close overhead, vast and indifferent, like the sky back home but sharper here, no town lights to dull them. Coyote calls echoed off the ridges, lonely yips that pulled at something deep in my chest. Isolation wrapped around us thick, the mountain holding our small camp in its grip. No roads, no signals, just the wind sighing through pines and the crackle of cooling wood. Reese sat across from me, knees drawn up, poking at the ashes with a stick. Her face caught the last light, shadows carving lines under her eyes. I felt the weight of it all, the day's miles stripping us bare, forcing truths closer in the quiet. She shifted, restless, standing to pace the edge of our sight. Boots scuffed on gravel, back and forth, like she couldn't settle. The ankle from earlier still bothered her, a slight hitch in her step, but it was more than that. Tension coiled in her shoulders, the way she rubbed her arms against the chill. I watched from my spot by the fire, offering quiet words. Sit if you need to. The ground's not going anywhere. She glanced over, a half nod, but kept moving, the pacing a rhythm that matched the thud in my own heart. Empathy pulled me up, slow, my muscles protesting the day's burn. I stepped close, hand light on her elbow. Talk, if it helps. Or don't. I'm here. Her arm tensed under my touch, warm through the thin shirt, but she didn't pull away. The air between us felt too small, charged with what we carried from town. My love for her rooted deep, like the scrub pines clinging to this rock, twisted by wind, but holding fast. It started years back, in the fields of Willow Creek, her helping me mend fences after storms, her laugh cutting through the dust like rain. Rural life forged us, long days hauling feed, nights sharing coffee on porches that creaked under starlight. I'd accepted my Sapphic pull early, pieced it together in solitary hikes like this one. But with Reese, it bloomed hidden, a secret bloom in shadowed soil. Admitting it meant risking the resilience we'd built, the way we leaned on each other when the town turned cold. Out here, with no eyes watching, that love stirred stronger, vulnerability cracking my guard. I wanted to tell her, let it spill like creek water after thaw, but fear held it back, the gossip that could uproot us both. Reese stopped pacing, sinking onto a log near the embers. Her breath came uneven, eyes on the dying fire. Subtle hints slipped out, her internal battle showing in the way she twisted her hands, knuckles white. Town feels like a cage sometimes, she murmured, voice low against the wind. Expectations piling on, like hay bales you can't shift alone. I nodded, settling beside her, the log rough under us. Small-town pressures weighed her down. I saw it in the way she dodged questions about settling with some rancher boy, her smiles forced at gatherings where folks nudged her toward the right path. Unspoken, it hung there, her struggle with feelings she couldn't name, tied to the narrow roads we'd both walked. Empathy swelled in me, my own hidden desires mirroring hers, but I kept it light, validating without pushing. Yeah, out here it's just us. No one telling us what fits. We let the embers draw us closer, sharing the warmth. Light confessions came over the glow, past relationships that fizzled like damp wood. That guy from the diner, Mark? Steady, but it felt flat, she said, tossing a twig into the ash. Her voice carried a tremor, eyes flicking to mine brief. I shared back, careful, about a woman from a neighboring town, summers ago, her touch like sunlight breaking clouds. It woke something real, but fear chased it off. Vulnerability hung between us, raw but shared, the fire popping soft like punctuation. Reese leaned in a fraction, our shoulders brushing, the proximity stirring heat low in my gut. Her scent, sweat and pine, mixed with the smoke, grounding and pulling. I felt the unspoken desire coil, my body aware of every shift, every breath she took. The night deepened, coyotes fading to wind alone. We crawled into the tent, space tight, sleeping bags zipped side by side. Physical closeness amplified everything, her leg brushing mine accidental, sending sparks through the nylon barrier. I lay still, heart thudding steady, the air thick with her nearness. Reese turned restless again, sighing into the dark. "Can't sleep," she whispered, voice close. I reached out, hand finding her arm in the shadows, fingers light on warm skin. Me neither. The mountains got us thinking too loud. Silence stretched, heavy, her pulse quick under my touch. Desire hummed unspoken. A pull like gravity in the confined space, but we held back, the tension unresolved, weaving through the night like roots underground. Dawn crept slow, gray light filtering through the tent mesh. Unresolved, it lingered. The confessions light but loaded, our proximity a tease of what simmered. Reese stirred first, sitting up with a quiet groan, the air between us, still thick. We packed in silence, the second day's push waiting, higher ridges calling us toward whatever broke next. We broke camp as the sun crested the eastern ridge, light slicing through the pines like a blade on fresh-cut hay. My muscles protested from the start, a deep ache settling in from yesterday's miles. The trail steepened quick, switchbacks carving into the slope, each turn pulling us higher into thinner air. Reese zipped her pack, face set, but her eyes held shadows from the night. I fell in behind her, boots thudding steady, the weight on my back digging like unspoken words. The mountain didn't care about our tensions. It just rose, relentless. Sweat beaded early, soaking through my shirt, the fabric clinging heavy to my skin. Labored breaths came in rhythm with my steps, chest heaving against the pack straps that bit into shoulders already raw. The air up here tasted sharp, dry as dust off the creek bed back home, each inhale a fight for more. Reese pushed ahead, her pace faltering on the inclines, boots slipping more than yesterday. I watched her back, the sway in her step not just from the grade. Concern twisted in my gut, mixing with a quiet hope that simmered low, the kind that bloomed in hidden places, like wildflowers after rain. If this hike cracked her open, maybe mine would follow. We tried to rest at the first flat stretch, maybe an hour in. I dropped my pack, water bottle shaking in my hand as I gulped down the warm trickle. "Sit a minute," I said, voice rough from the burn in my throat. Reese eased down beside me, knees bent, but her fingers drummed on her thigh, restless. The break eased the fire in my legs a touch, but when we stood, the strain rushed back, heavier. She winced, rolling her ankle from yesterday's twist, and we pushed on. "Try and fail," the mountain mocking us, no real relief in the pause. My own body screamed, quads throbbing like fence wire pulled too tight, but I kept pace, eyes on her. The path narrowed after that, a thin ribbon hugging the cliff, rocks loose underfoot. Accidental touches came more frequent, her hand brushing mine as we balanced a turn, sending a jolt through my arm like static off the truck door. I felt the romantic pull, coil tighter, her nearness a heat that cut the chill wind whipping up the slope. Hidden identity weighed on me then, reflections hitting hard in the quiet stretches. Self-acceptance had come in pieces for me, forged in Willow Creek's silences, accepting my Sapphic heart when the town preached straight paths. I'd buried it deep, like roots under frozen ground to shield Reese from the fallout. But out here, with no judgments echoing, I wondered if hiding served us anymore. The pull toward her felt like truth pushing through soil, undeniable. Another try at rest, higher up where the trees thinned to scrub. We leaned against boulders, breaths ragged, sweat stinging my eyes. "This ridge is kicking us," I muttered, offering her an energy bar, fingers lingering on the wrapper. She took it, our knuckles grazing, and for a beat, her gaze held mine, soft in the strain, but the pause didn't stick. Fatigue clawed back as we rose, legs like lead sinking into gravel. Fail again, the cycle grinding us down, emotional weight mirroring the physical. Reese's faltering grew clearer, steps shorter, breaths sharper, her pack listing like a burdened horse. Hope flickered in me, concern sharpening it. Whatever brewed inside her, this isolation was forcing it near. She made small admissions as we climbed, words slipping out between gasps. "Town's got me trapped sometimes," she said, voice low over the wind. "Expectations like chains, marry right, settle in, no room for other things." Her pause hung heavy, eyes on the trail ahead, avoiding mine. I nodded, heart thudding not just from the ascent. Willow Creek's pressures I'd known forever, the nudges at church suppers, the whispers if you strayed from the script. For her, it pinned. Tighter, a woman expected to fit the mold, her internal storm tied to those narrow roads. Yeah, I replied, keeping it light, empathy steady. Out here, no one's watching. Feels freer. She glanced back, a flicker of something raw, and the air between us thickened, charged. The path twisted narrower still, a ledge barely wide enough for one, forcing us close. Her boot nudged mine on a switchback, steadying, and my hand caught her elbow without thinking, skin warm through the damp sleeve. The touch lingered, accidental, but electric, pulling at the romantic thread woven through our years. I felt it deep, desire rooted in rural resilience, the way we'd shared labors, her strength mirroring mine in fields that demanded everything. Self-acceptance bloomed in those moments, my hidden identity, less a burden, more a quiet strength. But fear lingered, small-town gossip, a shadow that could scorch us if light hit wrong. Still, her nearness stirred hope, the cycle of try-fail, pushing us toward revelation. We tried resting once more, at a sheer drop where the view opened below. Packs down, we slumped against rock, but the strain didn't lift. Muscles quivered, breaths wouldn't steady. Reese rubbed her temples, eyes distant. Can't shake this weight, she murmured, admission edging closer to the bone. Town expectations trapped her. I saw it clear now, her faltering pace a map of inner fights. I sat near, shoulder brushing hers, the contact a small anchor. Whatever it is, you're not alone carrying it. Empathy poured quiet, validating, without demand, my own guarded heart echoing hers. The fail hit harder this time, fatigue wrapping us tight, but the hope in me grew, sensing the break coming. Higher the trail climbed, sweat pouring now, shirts plastered like second skins. Labored breaths echoed off the walls, my lungs burning with every pull. Reese's pace slowed to a crawl, steps dragging, concern flooding me full. Hope mixed in, sharp, this could be the moment. Truths surfaced, our hidden pulls aligning. The narrow path demanded more touches, my hand on her back to steady a slip, her arm looping mine on a loose stretch. Each one built the romantic tension, sparks jumping like fireflies in dusk fields. Reflections on my identity deepened. Self-acceptance meant owning this love, no matter the cost. Hiding it had preserved us, but the mountain stripped illusions, forcing me to face it head-on. Admissions came in fragments from her, the strain loosening her guard. Feels like I'm running from something back there, she said, pausing to catch breath, hands on knees. The way folks expect you to be, straight line, no bends. Her words cut close. Town pressures bared, the trap of expectations clear in her voice. I felt the parallel to my own hidden life, Sapphic desires cloaked to fit. Bends make the path real, I offered, voice steady despite the burn. Empathy bridged us, her small confessions pulling the romantic pull taut, like wire before snap. Ledge narrowed to a knife's edge, wind howling up from the drop. Accidental closeness peaked, bodies brushing constant, her hip against mine on the turn, sending heat through the chill. Desire hummed, rooted deep in our shared rural bones. The touches accidental but loaded. Self-acceptance surged in me then, a quiet bloom amid the fear. Our owning this could free us, even if gossip waited below. Reese's faltering worsened, steps uneven, her breaths ragged rasps. We crested near the ridge, the final push a blur of sweat and grit. Packs sagged, my vision spotting from the effort, but the view broke open, endless sky meeting the world below. Willow Creek lay distant, a speck in the valley, judgmental even from afar. Fatigue overwhelmed then, legs buckling under the weight, emotional strain crashing with the physical. Reese staggered to the Overlook, the breaking point hovering close, ready to spill. We reached the Overlook at last, the ridge flattening into a wide slab of granite that jutted like a shelf over the void. My legs gave out first, buckling under the pack's weight, and I dropped it with a thud that echoed off the rocks. Sweat poured down my back, shirt clinging like a second skin soaked through, every breath a rasp that scraped my throat. Raw. The view stretched endless below, valleys folding into each other. Willow Creek a faint smudge in the green haze, distant, but not gone. Reese staggered past me, her steps faltering worse than the climb, and sank to her knees at the edge. Not a collapse from the hike, though the miles had carved us hollow. This was deeper, her body folding in on itself, hands clutching her head as if to hold something breaking inside. I eased down beside her, the stone cool under my palms, heart still pounding from the ascent, but quickening now for her. Reese. My voice came low, steady against the wind that whipped up from the drop, carrying the faint scent of pine from below. She didn't look up, shoulders shaking, breaths coming in hitches that had nothing to do with thinning air. The isolation hit full then. No trail noise, no birds, just us and the vast drop. The world shrunk to this slab where truths couldn't hide. Concern flooded me, mixing with that hope I'd carried all day, sharp as a thorn and soft earth. Whatever brewed in her, the mountain had forced it to the surface, raw and unavoidable. She rocked forward, elbows on knees, and the words started tumbling, low at first, then spilling like creek water, cracking ice. Eliza, I can't keep it in anymore. Her voice cracked, hands dropping to dig into the gravel, nails scraping stone. This hike, being out here, it's like everything's peeling back, and I see it clear. I've been in love with you. For years. Not just friends. More. God, so much more. The confession hung there, raw, her face lifting to mine, eyes red-rimmed, wide with the terror of letting it out. Shock slammed into me, heart thudding hard against my ribs, a steady thud like boots on frozen ground. I'd guarded my own feelings tight, buried them deep to preserve us, but hearing it from her, long held, unspoken, cracked something open. Joy flickered, tentative, warring with the fear that coiled immediate, cold as ridge wind. I reached for her arm, fingers light on her sleeve, damp with sweat, feeling the tremor run through her. Reese. Words stuck, my throat tight, the guarded part of me, the one that had hidden my Sapphic heart through Willow Creek's judgments, flaring up. But her eyes held mine, vulnerable, exposed like roots ripped from soil, and I saw the mirror of my own ache. The love she'd buried, same as mine, rooted in our shared days mending fences, sharing silences under vast skies. Shock ebbed slow, replaced by a warmth that spread, my pulse racing, not from fear now, but from the truth, finally breathed between us. She pulled back a fraction, shaking her head, words rushing faster. It's ruined everything, hasn't it? Back home, if anyone knew, if the whispers started... Fear laced her voice, sharp as barbed wire snagging skin. Small-town gossip. That was the shadow we'd both dodged, the kind that spread like dry grass fire, consuming reputations before you could stamp it out. I knew it bone deep, the sidelong looks at the diner, the way folks paired you off with the right ones, straight and settled. For me, accepting my desires had been a quiet war, self-forged in lonely fields. But voicing it, that risked jobs, family ties, the fragile place we'd carved in Willow Creek's tight weave. And for Reese, raised in that same mold, it could shatter her world. Expectations of marriage, kids, the life the town scripted for her. They'd talk, she whispered, eyes dropping to the drop below, voice breaking, paint us as wrong, lose everything we've built. I held it back for that, for us. Raw dialogue pulled it all bare then. Vulnerability spilling in the wind-whipped space. It's not just holding back, I said, voice low, hand steady on hers now, gravel biting my knees. I felt it too. Loved you quiet, like a secret spring under rock, but yeah, the gossip. It'd tear through town faster than a storm off the plains. Folks whispering at church, avoiding our eyes at the store. Jobs gone, families pulling away. She nodded, tears tracking dirt-streaked cheeks, her grip tightening on mine, knuckles white. I thought if I stayed straight, fit the lines, it'd protect you. But out here, no lines hold. I want you, Eliza. This pull, it's real, deeper than any lie I've told myself. Mutual attraction bared, her words echoing my hidden truths, the Sapphic thread we'd both woven unseen through years of rural closeness. Exposure hit like the cold air, freeing but terrifying, our guards down on that slab, no place to retreat. Tension coiled thick after, a pause stretching long, the air between us heavy as low clouds before rain. Wind tugged at our packs, forgotten nearby, and below, the valley waited, judgmental, even in silence. Her confession lingered, words settling like dust after a truck passes, stirring everything I'd buried. Heart thudding still, I searched her face, the fear there mirroring mine, the hope flickering faint but real. Self-acceptance surged in me then, a quiet bloom. Owning this love, even amid the shatter risk, felt truer than hiding. But the pause held us, breaths mingling close, the ridge isolating us in this reckoning, no easy words to bridge it yet. I leaned in slow, empathy guiding me, validating without rush. I see you, Reese, all of it. The love, the fear. It's okay to let it out here, where no one's listening. Doesn't make us wrong, just us. My voice stayed steady, hand squeezing hers, feeling the warmth pulse back. No pressure, just the hold of shared truth, mirroring her vulnerability with my own. She exhaled sharp, shoulders easing a fraction, eyes meeting mine unflinching now. The release hung there, emotional weight lifting slight, born of the confession's spill. Impulse stirred then, the tension too taut to hold, pulling us toward what came next. Bodies leaning, the ridge no longer just stone, but ground shifting under truths, finally free. I didn't need to speak. Her eyes, wide with the abyss of her truth, were asking for an answer I could only give with my body. The pause broke sudden, her body shifting toward mine on the slab, the release too raw to contain. Reese leaned in first, impulsive, her hand cupping my jaw, rough from the trail's grit. Our lips met urgent, a crash of salt from sweat and tears, the faint bite of pine clinging to her skin from the climb. I froze a beat, shock rippling through me like wind over dry grass, then melted into it, my mouth opening under hers, tasting the truth we'd both buried. Bodies pressed close, packs forgotten beside us, her frame solid against mine on the cool stone, heat building where we touched, the ridge wind whipping around but not between. Sensory rush hit hard, her fingers clutching my shirt, bunching fabric over my ribs, breaths mingling hot and ragged, carrying the metallic tang of high air. My hands found her waist, thumbs pressing into damp cloth, feeling the rapid thud of her heart echo my own, steady but wild. The kiss deepened, tongues brushing tentative, then fierce. A pull like roots seeking water after drought, her body arching into mine, legs tangling awkward on the uneven ground. Pine needles scratched under us, the vast drop below forgotten. World narrowing to this press, her scent grounding me. Earth and exertion, real as the mountain holding us up. Desire uncoiled low, a warmth spreading from my core. Vulnerability poured into every shift, every sigh she let out against my lips. We broke apart, slow, foreheads resting together, breaths still mingling in the space between. Silence fell thick, confusion swirling in her eyes, wide and searching mine, tentative joy flickering there like embers catching after rain. My chest heaved, heart thudding, loud in my ears, the personal romance shifting solid now, no longer hidden under layers of guard. Joy bloomed tentative, warming the fear that lingered at the edges, her taste still on my tongue, salt and something sweeter, like creek water clear after mud. I traced her cheek with my thumb, dirt-streaked but soft, feeling the tremor under skin, the confusion mirroring my own, years of friendship twisting into this, undeniable but uncharted. Self-acceptance bloomed in me then, quiet but deep, like wildflowers pushing through ridge rock amid the fear that clawed back. Loving her wasn't shame anymore. It was root deep, forged in our rural days, the Sapphic pull I'd accepted alone now shared, blooming raw in this moment. But fear coiled tight, small-town repercussions waiting below, Willow Creek's whispers ready to scorch what we'd just kindled. Gossip would spread like fire through dry fields, eyes turning at the diner, jobs slipping away, families drawing lines in the dust. Yet I pushed it aside, focus pulling to our shared gaze, her eyes holding mine unflinching, brown depths reflecting the sky's blue, a quiet promise in the way she didn't pull back. Vulnerability hung there, mutual, the romance no longer one-sided but fragile, real. We sat like that, her hand in mine, fingers lacing loose, the lingering touch an anchor against the wind's tug. Hopeful ambiguity settled between us. No clear path carved ahead, just this bond altered, stronger in its break, but brittle still, like new ice on the creek. What came next? Town loomed, judgments waiting. But here, on the ridge, it felt possible to face, together. I squeezed her hand, feeling the calluses from shared labors, the warmth pulsing back. This changes us, I whispered, voice low against the drop's hush. She nodded, a small smile cracking her lips, confusion easing into something softer, joy tentative but there. No rush to define, just the truth breathed out, self-acceptance wrapping us like a shared blanket against the chill. The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching long across the slab, pulling us from the moment. We stood slow, bodies brushing as we shouldered packs, the weight lighter now, or maybe just shared. Descent started careful, the path down steeper in reverse, boots sliding on loose scree. But we moved close, her hand finding mine on the narrow turns. Bond fragile, altered in every step, the kisses echo, humming between us. Trail's end waited below, deeper reflections stirring as the valley rose to meet us. World re-entering, slow but changed. The descent pulled us down the slope, gravity easing the way where the climb had clawed. Boots slid on loose gravel, each step a controlled skid that jarred my knees less than the upward burn, but the emotional weight dragged heavier now, uncertainty coiling like fog in the valley below. Reese walked close, her shoulder brushing mine on the narrow path, the kiss's echo still warm on my lips, but questions hung unspoken between us. The ridge faded behind, its overlook a memory sharp as new-cut wood, and with every drop in altitude, the world widened, pines thickening, air warming thick with earth scent, but our bond felt fragile, tested by the re-entry waiting. We moved slow at first, packs lighter in the downhill pull, sweat cooling on our skin to a chill that raised gooseflesh. Quiet talks started in the lulls, words weaving through the crunch of trail underfoot. That up there, it felt right, Reese said, voice low, eyes on the path ahead, avoiding the drop to her right. Her hand swung close to mine, fingers grazing accidental, sending a spark up my arm like static off fence wire. I nodded, heart steady but open, the romance threading our steps now, no longer hidden. It did, but down here, with everything waiting, self-acceptance bloomed in me, quiet as dawnlight on dew. The Sapphic pull I'd guarded now shared, but laced with the fear that town could twist it sour. I shared my journey as we rounded a switchback, the slope gentling under us. Took me years to own this part of me, I said, breath evening out with the easier grade. Back in Willow Creek, alone in the fields after chores, staring at the horizon like it held answers, accepted it slow, piece by piece, loving women, wanting that closeness without the shame they preach. My voice stayed deliberate, vulnerability raw, but grounded, like confessing over coffee on a porch step. Reese glanced over, her doubt easing in the way her shoulders dropped, the tension uncoiling faint. How'd you know it was worth the risk? She asked, hand finding mine deliberate this time, lacing fingers loose, calluses rough from shared labors. The touch anchored me, intimate in the open air, a stolen moment amid the descent's rush. Felt like breathing after holding it too long, I replied, squeezing back. The fear's real, but hiding? That chokes deeper. Her nod came slow, doubt softening under my words. The romance weaving self-acceptance like vines up a trellis, strong but twisting. Gossip fears surfaced as the trail leveled. Imagined town reactions painting shadows ahead. Picture Hargrove at the diner, leaning in with that squint, I said, voice dropping against the wind easing now. Whispers, starting, Eliza and Reese, too close on that hike, spreading like smoke from a chimney fire, folks crossing streets, jobs slipping quiet. Reese's grip tightened, her breath hitching, the conservative undercurrents of Willow Creek bared in her eyes, wide with the what-ifs. They'd say we're ruined, fitting some story they spin, she murmured, glancing back up the slope like the ridge could shield us still, Family pulling away, church talks turning cold. I felt the chill of it. Small town judgments rooted deep as sagebrush, ready to snag what we'd just freed. But I leaned into her side, brief, a stolen glance holding hers, brown depths reflecting the pine's green. They might, but we know the truth, our truth. Doesn't bend to their wind. Empathy poured steady, validating her fears without letting them root. The talks, easing us down. Romance, a quiet counter to the dread. Intimate moments built as the path widened. Hand holding steady now. Fingers intertwined, natural as breathing. On a flat stretch ringed by scrub, she stopped, pulling me close. Her free hand tracing my armlight, eyes locking in a glance that stole the breath from my lungs. This, us, it's what I've wanted. Even scared, she whispered. Lips brushing my temple soft, the contact sending warmth low, desire humming like a distant creek. I turned, forehead to hers, breaths mingling warm, the valley's hum rising faint below. Me too. No rush to map it, just this. The touch lingered, bodies close against the pack's bulk, a hand slipping to my waist, thumb pressing denim, building trust in the descent's flow. Stolen glances followed, her eyes catching mine over a sip from the canteen, a half smile cracking when our boots synced, the romance solidifying in these small anchors, self-acceptance, blooming shared, fears acknowledged but not defining. We pushed lower, the air thickening with pine and damp earth, muscles easing as the grade shallowed. Resolve settled toward hopeful ambiguity, connection stronger in its new shape, future open like the sky clearing after ridge clouds. No clear path back, I said, during a pause by a trickle of stream, splashing water on faces gritty from the trail. But together, facing whatever town throws, gossip, doubts, it feels possible. Reese knelt beside me, hand on my knee, her nod firm, doubts eased by my shared journey, the intimacy of our hold. Yeah, stronger now, even if fragile. No promises carved in stone, just the ambiguity of what lay ahead, whispers waiting, but our bond, a root system underground, unseen, but holding. Romance wove through it, self-acceptance, a quiet fire against the chill of imagined reactions, the valley's edge nearing. Final steps brought us into the thicker woods, valley rising to meet us, world re-entering slow, distant truck glint, road's faint line, but changed. Our strides synced, hands brushing constant. The isolation peeled back, town pulling close, but we carried the ridge's truth, altered and open. Wrap up, waited at trail's end, connection calling us forward, heart steady in the ambiguity. The truck rumbled into Willow Creek as dusk settled, the valley's lights flickering on like hesitant stars against the fading ridge. We pulled up to my place, engine cutting silent, the air thick with the scent of cooling earth and unspoken plans. Reese killed the headlights, her hand brushing mine as we reached for the door handles. Simple, deliberate, the touch, lingering warm, charged with the ambiguity we'd carried down. No clear map ahead, just this connection, fragile but rooted deep, self-acceptance blooming quiet amid the town's waiting shadows. Gossip might whisper soon, judgments stirring like dust on the wind. But in that brush of skin, hope held steady, our Sapphic truth, a private fire against the chill. If you've ever hidden a love like this, felt the mountain of fear crack under isolation's weight, share your story below. It might light the way for someone else, navigating those rural silences and unexpected kisses. Subscribe for more tales of women finding their way to each other, one hidden truth at a time.